Preview edition of Pucks Across Borders on Total Apex Sports and Sports Addict Live, brought to you by the one, the only First Round Collectibles. Right now with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off, tons and tons of cards. And with our promo code Sports Addict, not only do you get 10% off of regular price items, but sales items as well. What's your favorite sport? Hockey, football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, boxing, whatever it is, they have it at firstroundcollectibles.com. Tell them we sent you by using our promo code Sports Addict for 10% off your order. That's 10% off regular priced and sales priced items. That's the number one, STRoundcollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans.
Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back.
Welcome and good morning to Pucks Across Borders, Monday betting preview edition on Sports Addict Live, and of course, as always, on Total Apex Sports. My name is Mark Sauter, and it is great to be here after a wild weekend, not just in the NHL, sports in general. Football was full of drama yesterday. Of course, the World Series starting, basketball in full swing. A lot's going on in the sporting world, Andre. How you feeling on a Monday morning?
It's Monday. You know, it always starts a little slow, but I'm feeling pretty good. Ready to get going. There's a lot of hockey over the weekend, a lot to talk about. And I'm ready to get rolling. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Listen, this is a hockey show. We talk hockey. I just opened Twitter. Is this report about Aaron Judge true? Have you seen this? This is the first thing that popped on my screen on Twitter. We all know Twitter is a cesspool, so I have no idea if this is true or not. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't. I'm very curious. That's what
Aaron Judge is under investigation for using PEDs per source. Anonymous tip.
Who sent that out?
To undergo a drug test ahead of Game 3 on Monday night. Is that true?
I mean, taking a drug test, that's
not bizarre.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Drug test.
Fake news. Fake news. What it looks like. I just opened Twitter and I saw that. I was like, oh my goodness.
No.
People are calling him. Sorry, people. This is the best about Twitter. People are calling the guy who reported this. You're pathetic. You're ruthless. I hope you die. It's pretty crazy, Twitter. I hope you die.
I never want to hear from him again.
No.
Out of here.
Yeah, I hope you.
Not my captain.
I hope you die. That's pretty crazy. And then immediately he tweets after, Judge tested negative. And the MLB has paused this investigation. You're a coward. I hope Judge sues you. Twitter's the best. Anyway, I just saw that. I was, wow, I hope you die. Twitter. Never ending. Well, let's just move on to real news and positive, non-death related stories. Crazy weekend in the NHL. We won't go through every single score from the whole weekend, but we will quickly recap. Yesterday, the Edmonton Oilers go down 2-0, and they go down 1-0 and then 2-1, end up beating the Red Wings 3-2 in overtime. The Ducks get smacked by the Devils 9-2. The Canadians beat the Flyers 4-3. They're up big. Flyers make a late push, but the Canadians end up winning that game 4-3. And the Ottawa Senators lose to the Colorado Avalanche 5-4. That was yesterday. Overall, from this weekend, man, what do you take away? We do have 9 games in the NHL tonight, which I was saying this to you before the show. I don't remember 9 games being on a Monday night, like ever in the history of the NHL. But 9 games to get to. But before we do, as always, Andre, what did you take away from the NHL this weekend?
Yeah, my takeaway is just pointed straight at your division because what a mess that is. You got the Panthers at the top, 6-3-1, you know, chilling. The Lightning, 5-3-0, doing their thing. They're fine. 3 through 8, 4-4-1 are the Buffalo Sabres. 4-4-1 are the Toronto Maple Leafs. 4-4-1 are the Detroit Red Wings. 4-4-1 are the Montreal Canadiens. 4-4-1 are the Boston Bruins. 4-4-0 are the Ottawa Senators. What are you guys doing down there? Up there, over there, whatever. What's going on? Because it's all just, I don't know where the Sabres, Red Wings, or I guess the Canadiens actually play pretty well. I don't know where the Sabres, Red Wings came from, but everyone's just bunched up. No separation. Maple Leafs got off to that great start, slipping. Bruins, they were beating everyone except the Panthers. Now they're not beating anyone except the Maple Leafs. Ottawa's existing. They're doing whatever they do, competing. Like, what's going on? I need some clarity here.
Yeah, it's a gong show, man. And it's funny that you mentioned this because I got to talk about Ottawa a little bit here. And I'll kind of clarify that in a minute, but dude, Tampa Bay is probably the one real, I know Florida's leading the division 6-3-1, 13 points, like you said, but Florida, they haven't really looked all that impressive. They're just kind of winning games and they're just kind of there. Tampa Bay, they've looked really impressive. They had the one game against Toronto last week. That was not a good game, but that was more Toronto just played really, really well. But we never really knew what to expect from this Tampa team. And I feel like we're always ready to count them out. And they're just a good team. They got good players. Their coach is one of the best coaches in the game. So Tampa Bay is like the one real, maybe not surprise, but the one they've been playing really well. The rest of it, dude, is just a gong show. Like Toronto starts the season 4-2, and looked really, really good for all 6 games. Like even the games that they lost, they looked really good. The 4-1 loss to the Rangers maybe being their worst game, but the game was really 2-1 late, and then the Rangers got the 2 goals at the end of the game. But the last 3 games for the Leafs have been awful. Saturday against Boston was okay, but they've looked not at all like they did the first 6 games. Then you have Buffalo. That's just Buffalo, dude. This is going to be Buffalo all year long. They're going to suck, and then they're going to be good, and they're going to suck. There's no middle ground with Buffalo. It's just kind of how they roll. Detroit started the season not in a good place, but they're scoring goals right now. Last night, they didn't score a bunch of goals. They lost 3-2, but they should have won that game. I thought the Oilers looked okay, but Detroit deserved to win that game last night. And Montreal, dude, I'm telling you, they had a really bad game against your guys, I think last Tuesday during Frozen Frenzy. They lost 7-2 to New York. But Montreal, that team works hard. I'm telling you, they work hard. They play hard. 2 really, really good wins over the weekend. That game on Saturday against St. Louis was maybe the best game of the day. Like, it was awesome. They beat St. Louis 5-2. Really complete performance. Montembeault played great. Cole Caulfield is scoring every single night, man. The guy is an absolute animal right now, starting really hot. I know you were really happy that the Blues got crushed on Saturday. That made your day. Took away the pain of the Yankees going down 2-0 in the World Series. That's how much you hate America's worst city, according to you. And then you have the Boston Bruins. They're in a weird place. That makes, from a trauma belief perspective, that makes Saturday's loss to Boston that much more annoying. It's like Boston is not a good team right now, and you just still can somehow not beat them in the regular season. The Ottawa Senators is where I am getting to, and I have because my first reaction to Ottawa right now is a negative one. But the more I kind of look at it, the more I'm actually not that negative on them. It's like a weird thing for me. We've been doing this show for a year, right? We started last year. This is our second year doing the show, but we've both been watching the NHL for a long time. And in recent years, Ottawa is just notoriously bad starting seasons. They just start seasons really, really slowly. Right now, they're 4-4-0, like you said. They got 8 points. They're last in the division, but they're only 2 points behind second place, right? They're like, it's all bunched up, like you said. I go two ways with Ottawa right now. Number one, if you're a playoff team and if you've turned a page, if you will, and you're ready to be a real hockey team and to be taken seriously, I know it's Vegas, and I know Vegas is a good team. I know Vegas is a Stanley Cup contending team. But you're winning 4-3 with like 3 minutes left in a hockey game, and not only do you lose, but Vegas covers the -1.5. No dice, man. I don't care who is in net. I don't care. I know Linus Ullmark's not playing right now, but if you're winning 4-3, I had Ottawa money line, part of a parlay. I check 3 minutes left. No big deal. I can turn it off, put something on TV for my son because he's losing his mind. And you know how us parents do, distract the kids with screen time. And so then I check later and they lose. And like I said, not only do they lose, but Vegas covers the -1.5. Just not acceptable. Awful. You don't even get 1 point out of it. And then that game last night, they lose 5-4. Again, Colorado, very good hockey team. And Colorado is another takeaway that we can go to. Like, Colorado starting the season 0-4. They've now won, 5 in a row or 6 in a row now? 5 in a row to get themselves right back in a very competitive Central Division. But Colorado was winning that game by 2 goals at 2 different points. And Ottawa still crawled back and made it a 5-4 hockey game. Now, mind you, the 4th goal was with like 10 seconds left in the game. But, so I'm in a weird place with Ottawa right now, man, where I see things and I'm just like, this team is not a real hockey team and I will never trust them. But then also, you're 4-4-1. If this was Ottawa of a couple of years ago, you'd be 1-5-1, and no one in this division wants it right now, and they're right there. So you got to give them props, I suppose.
You can give them props at the same time. How do you do that? I mean, it's fair to question how you let that happen, especially since we talked about their history with Vegas. They don't beat Vegas. You were right there. Get that third win out the way. A few minutes. Instead, you're going home sad. You're an embarrassment. You have Mark mad at you now. He is going to despise the Senators like I despise Anheuser-Busch and all of St. Louis. So don't do that.
Wow. Attacking the beer, too. I love it. Yeah, dude, it's just frustrating. Like at the same time, though, you absolutely said it. Like we're starting to see order restore slightly across the league. Like in the Metro, you have the Devils, the Rangers, the Hurricanes, and Washington top four, right? The other bottom four of it's kind of a mishmash, but you have the Devils, Rangers, Carolina, Washington, kind of what we expected in the top four. You have Winnipeg, Dallas, Minnesota, Colorado, right? Now, we would have replaced Minnesota with Nashville, but Nashville, that's another takeaway, dude. And I know we got 8 games to get to, but that's another takeaway with Nashville. Like, what did we say last week? Like, you have to beat Chicago. You have to beat Columbus. You got to get these 2 points before a tough week ahead. They play Tampa Bay tonight. Yeah, okay, they beat them. They got the 2 points. That's great. But they're losing 2-0 to Carolina, or to Chicago, sorry. Come back, win the game 3-2. They're losing 2-0 to Columbus, have to come back, win the game 4-3. They got the wins. They came back. They fought back, but still, like, not convincing at all. Like, that was bizarre. I don't know. Did you see anything from Nashville this weekend? I just thought, like, yeah, you got the 2 points or the 4 points, and I guess, hey, they don't ask how, they ask how many. Is that how the saying goes? I just like you gotta, like, you're facing these bad teams. You started the season 0-5. Just lay the beat down on somebody and dominate a hockey game, for crying out loud.
First of all, I'm muted. But, when you check, or not when you check, but like when you need a good run, when you need points desperately, you take the wins how you get them. Like, there's 2 times. Like when you're struggling, you get the wins when you get them. When you're in the postseason, you get the wins how you get them. Doesn't have to be pretty, doesn't have to be cute. You just need the wins. At the same time, they just got 4 points in 2 games in the probably least convincing way possible.
Yes.
In the year of our Lord 2024. Maybe if it was the Sharks and the Ducks instead of the Blackhawks and the Predators, but that's really the only thing you could change about those games that can make it worse. They just weren't really convincing, not really inspiring. There's nothing that makes you say, wow, yeah, this team turned a corner. They do have some life. They do have some hope. And maybe that's good. Maybe scratching a few points means their best hockey's still ahead of them. And they're going to go on that run and start dominating teams and be the team that looked really good in the playoffs last year. At the same time, this could just as easily mean the Predators suck.
Yeah, maybe. It's the same thing with Ottawa, dude. And I know that the contexts are different, and one was, crowned Stanley Cup champions after July 1st, and the other can't even find their way into the playoffs. But, like, I just don't know how to feel about these guys. Like, there's reasons for optimism, but still you see something and you're like, dude, that's brutal. And in the Pacific, dude, like, Calgary, tough loss against Winnipeg. We got to say Winnipeg. We're going to talk about them later. They're playing the Leafs tonight. They're still perfect, 8-0. Vancouver, 4-1-2. They dominated the Penguins in the first 20 minutes of that hockey game on Saturday night, ended up beating them 4-3. Pittsburgh made the late push. Vancouver might be the most unconvincing 4-1-2. Like, they have 10 points. They're only 3 points back of Vegas, who leads the division. But Vancouver's another one where something's just not clicking quite right. And then there's the Oilers, too, where they ended up getting the 2 points last night against Detroit, but they didn't really deserve. So there's these, like, teams like Ottawa who are just always trying to convince us that they should be taken seriously, and they just can't be. But then teams like Nashville, Vancouver, Edmonton, who just are still, there's just something just doesn't seem to be clicking. Like, they're just getting 2 points the hard way every night, and it's just something's still off with those teams. And then there's Colorado, man, who, got kind of dicey there for a minute last night, but they start the season 4-0. They got 2 wins over San Jose and Anaheim, that's just catapulted them to a really good stretch. Noonan is a revelation, apparently. We liked what we saw from him a little bit last year. They're playing again tonight, so Georgie, your guy, is probably going to get in between the pipes tonight. But yeah, man, crazy stuff going on in the National Hockey League. Did I miss anything before we move on to tonight's action? That was a lot we just covered.
I think we covered a lot of it. I think we covered all of it, honestly.
All right. So, what's that? Sorry?
Did you touch on the Toronto extension?
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. Breaking news in Toronto Maple Leaf land. Jake McCabe, 5 years. Was it 5 years or 4 years? I just completely lost it now. I think 4 years at $4.51 million. I will double check that just real quick. Yeah, 5 years, 4.51 for Jake McCabe signing in Toronto. Breaking news for Toronto. This is huge news for Toronto. This is because, like, Jake McCabe, he came over here a couple years ago at trade deadline trade with the Chicago Blackhawks. Really tough guy. Moves the puck pretty well. Not a big point producer, but he's got grit. He plays that Craig Berube hockey. Now you have Chris Tanev, Jake McCabe, OEL, and Morgan Riley all locked up for at least the next 4 seasons. And OEL is the only one who's locked up for 4 seasons. The rest of them are all locked up for 5 or more. Which one thing in Toronto, the defensive core has been an issue for a long time. And now you bring in those 2 guys in the summer, you lock up Jake McCabe, and that gives you 4 really good defensemen for at least the next 4 years. Now, the concern on that side of it is Jake McCabe's in his 30s, I believe. So is OEL. So is Chris Tanev. And Morgan Riley is getting there. I think he turns 30 this year, if not in the next year or 2. So you got these 4 guys locked up for 4+ years. That's awesome. But they're all getting into their 30s. And you don't really care about the back half of these contracts because you hope that you've won a Stanley Cup by then and you can kind of, let bygones be bygones. But that's the one concerning part of this, is that all these guys are locked up for 4 or 5 years at a decent pay hit. So, after 3-4 years of these deals, it's going to get kind of dicey, one would assume. But really good deal for Toronto, especially in the short term. And obviously good for him, man. He's in his 30s. He there's like details like deferred money, which we're seeing more in the NHL over this last summer. So right now it's a 4.5 cap hit. Towards the end of the contract, it'll be a little bit higher. But yeah, so big news in Toronto, which of course makes it big news for everybody. We all know that. Most important city in the hockey world.
Allegedly.
That's right. All right, moving on. Lots of hockey to get to tonight, starting in Columbus as the aforementioned Edmonton Oilers take on the Blue Jackets. Minus 255 are the Oilers on the road. Plus 205 are the Blue Jackets at home. Over 6.5 at minus 120. Under is minus 102. Minus 1.5 for the Oilers is minus 102, while plus 1.5 for the Blue Jackets is minus 115. Andre, what do you got, man? Edmonton Oilers. Columbus looking pretty good, man. I don't know. Is this a slam dunk Oilers win or what? What do you think?
I don't see this as a slam dunk win by any means. I mean, let's see, how many multi-goal wins do they have this year? 2. One was against Nashville. We just talked about them and their struggles. The other was against Pittsburgh, who can't stop a cold, and really, they got shut out. That was the main reason for it. I guess when you shut people out, you're going to get a multi-goal win a lot. But Edmonton's not doing a lot of that. Columbus, their offense has shown up. They've had some very productive games. When you look at what they're doing this year, they're 5th in scoring. Pretty good, and they're doing it without a power play, honestly, only 15%. So they're just kind of relentless for 60 minutes. The Jackets have also beaten the Oilers in 4 of the past 5 meetings. That's 3 straight in Columbus, I believe. So by no means is this a walk in the park. I don't think I'm going to take the Jackets to win outright because I'm kind of a coward. But I do like that puck line at +1.5. You're getting pretty good odds for the underdog side. But very rare you get like a -120, -110, roughly even like that. And you would actually like the risk. I love it here. I think this game will be tight. I think it's going to be high scoring. It could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised if it went to overtime. So give me that Columbus puck line at +1.5. Give me that over. Just keep it moving.
Yeah, I love that, man. I think those odds, like those puck line odds, you're usually seeing in the high 100s, sometimes in the 200s. And for it to be -115, I really, really like those odds as well. Also, Edmonton, the Oilers haven't really looked that great yet. As we said, they haven't really hit their stride, and they squeaked out a win against Detroit last night, right? They just played in Detroit. I know Detroit, Columbus, not that far from each other, but they just squeaked out a win last night. Now, looking at Columbus, you're talking about the over there, which I really like. So far this year, 3-4. They lost to Nashville 4-3 on the weekend, beat Toronto 6-2, lost 3-1 to Minnesota, beat Buffalo 6-4, lost to Florida 4-3, beat Colorado 6-4, lost to Minnesota 3-2. Also, side note, a Western Conference team playing an Eastern Conference team twice already in the first 2 weeks of the season is kind of bizarre. But you see that their over has hit. If you're counting 6.5 as the total for all these games, Columbus has hit the total in all but 2 of their games. And their wins, they've scored 6 goals in all 3 wins of theirs. So if they get the win tonight, you're looking at presumably a high total. I'm right there with you, man. I really like the over at 6.5. It's -120 for a reason, and I like the +1.5. And I don't hate the money line. I would rather take, like you, I'm a coward, and I would rather. I mean, those are your words, not mine. I'd rather take that. What's the hat?
So I'm a coward today. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It's no big deal. It happens sometimes, man. This is hard-earned money we're spending. -1.5. +1.5 at -115. There's no need to get super risky, but +205 is a pretty tempting number. The one bet that I'm continuing to look at, and I don't know, it's still at this point it should be longer odds than this, but the sports books are basically protecting themselves here. Zach Hyman has still not scored. And I don't remember what happened last night here. I can look real quickly. Yeah, he still doesn't have a point. So for Zach Hyman to get a goal is +130. And I'm very curious to see if this keeps going, when will the sports books finally make these odds a little longer? FanDuel still has it at +130. I'd be curious to know what DraftKings has it at. But Zach Hyman to score a goal, you got to think that he would get it. And also for the real part part of the story that everybody cares about is he's on my fantasy team and he's done absolutely nothing. By the way, I'm in 2 football leagues and a hockey league, and I won all 3 games or all 3 weeks. Yeah, thank you. It's been a tough start in every league I'm in, so it was much needed. But I'm looking at Zach Hyman plus 130, man. Get a goal. Do something. Do you have what he is there on DraftKings? Do you see it?
I'm trying to pull it up now. Plus 100.
Oh my gosh.
Not great.
Yeah, so even shorter. Yeah, I'd be curious to see how much longer that goes on because it's getting dire. All right, moving on. The Florida Panthers are in Buffalo, Florida, minus 152 now. The odds have shifted a little bit here. Buffalo plus 126 now. Minus 1.5 for Florida's plus 162. Plus 1.5 for Buffalo, minus 196. The over is 6.5 at plus 104. And the under is minus 128. What do you got, Florida, Buffalo?
Yeah, don't look now, but since losing to Buffalo in Buffalo a couple weeks ago, October 12th, the Panthers are 5-1-1. They go back to the scene of the crime tonight, and I think they're going to make the most of it. I got a very easy, very quick decision for this one. Panthers steamroll them. Multi-goal win. I'm taking that puck line plus 164. They're playing pretty well.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I'm interested to see what really interests me in this game, and I'm not necessarily betting it. But what I'm interested in is the total. I'm really interested in this total because Sergei Bobrovsky's had a very hot and cold start to the season, and Buffalo can still score goals. And I'm interested to see kind of what they bring here. That over 6.5 at plus 104 is really interesting to me. And the fact that it's plus money to go over is pretty interesting. So I'll take Florida minus 1.5 here as well, plus 162. But that total is really, really curious to me. On a prop note, I just want to make sure I have this right here. Sam Reinhart, is he not leading the team in goals? I feel like he's scoring every night. I'm seeing Sam Bennett is leading this team in goals right now.
Because Bennett, correct me if I'm wrong, he very early in the season, didn't he have the first or second game, didn't he have a multi-goal game?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Out hot.
Yeah.
And then I know he's been scoring a lot lately too. So
but yeah, Sam Reinhart plus 135. I always like him to score. And on the Buffalo side, keep cashing in on this while you can. JJ Peterka plus 260 to get a goal tonight. I'm always having my eye on him. I think this is going to be a really big year for him. I've been talking about him already throughout the first couple weeks of the season. So as a long shot bet, plus 260 for JJ Peterka. I really like him to score, and Sam Reinhart as well.
Just real quick, before we move on this game, it feels like it would be in poor taste to not mention Buffalo does have a 3-game streak. And there's no way they get to 4. Come on.
Wait, winning streak?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And all of our talk about the Atlantic, that went completely unnoticed by us.
Yeah, Blackhawks 4-2, Stars 4-2, Red Wings 5-3. That's part of the reason I think they're going to get steamrolled. How many times is this team going to win more than 3 in a row?
Or what you're saying, 3-game winning streak covering the minus 1.5 every single time. Are you saying Buffalo Sabres minus 1.5 plus 290? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe I am. Cowardice mode is off.
Yeah. plus 290. That's pretty crazy. Minus 1.5. That's pretty crazy at home, nonetheless. But I will say though, if this was February, Buffalo plus 122 seems actually pretty respectful, even though they're at home. I feel like that number would be worse at some point.
Yeah. Buffalo, man.
All right, moving on. Toronto at Winnipeg. Of course, here in Canada, this game is on Amazon Prime. Great job by Amazon, by the way, last week. I thought they did a phenomenal job. Really great to watch. I don't know if I talked about this on the show, but in Canada, and I'm not being a narcissist here. This is just the truth. In Canada, every game that's on is a national game, even if it's between two Canadian teams. Like if it's on Sportsnet, if it's on CBC, which is Sportsnet as well, or if it's on TSN, it's just always a Toronto Maple Leaf centered broadcast. It doesn't matter if they're playing Winnipeg, Calgary, Vancouver, Canadian team. It's a Toronto centered broadcast. That's just the way that it is. And that being the case, the negative aspects of Toronto, and even if they play a really good game, what Toronto hasn't done is always kind of the forefront of every take with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Seeing it done by Amazon and American broadcast, that was done just in Canada, but seeing a not Toronto center broadcast about the Toronto Maple Leafs was really, really refreshing. Because, like, it's hard to remember that this team is actually a good team because you just get so fixated on the fact that they can't get past the first round of the playoffs. But really great job by Amazon, and I'm looking forward to watching this game tonight. And also the Winnipeg Jets, 8-0-0. Toronto coming into Winnipeg on a 3-game losing streak. This is going to be a really good hockey game. There's lots of cool storylines tonight. Nashville, Tampa Bay is obviously a really great storyline. We're going to get to that here in a minute. But I would think Toronto, Winnipeg, this has to be the game of the night, no?
I mean,
like Carolina, Vancouver be a pretty good game, probably. Nashville, Tampa Bay too, but you got to think Toronto, Winnipeg, like the game of the night.
There's a game in Salt Lake City that I'm really fond of. No, I'm joking. No, this is by far.
Basketball team, Utah Jazz are playing. Oh no, that's the
that might be even worse. There's this is by far this is the game of the night. Very easily. I know the Flames and Knights probably have the two best combined records. That's going to be a good game.
That'd be a good game.
But this is the big boys. This is the big stage. Maybe not in America, but this deserves the attention that it's going to get. And I don't think the Jets are up for it. I keep picking against them. I keep expecting it to happen.
Wow.
I always have reasons, though. There's always a reason I think they're not going to win. They've lost 5 straight to the Leafs, dating back to 2022. Only one of those was close, honestly. So there's that. Just, you're talking about national stage, bright lights, whatever. Maple Leafs, that's like Tuesday for them. They're always under.
That's true.
It's that effect. You play for the biggest market, the biggest team. There's no game that goes unnoticed. For the Jets, you can kind of fly under the radar for a lot of the season. I mean, we know they're undefeated. We know they're playing well. How many of their games got a ton of attention outside of Manitoba and whoever else they were playing? The Edmonton game, probably, right? That was opening night. 2 playoff teams, Western Conference champions. So that got a lot of attention. They played Sid the Kid in Manitoba. That one probably got a lot of attention. But who else? Maybe the Wild? Nah, not really. The Blues, not really. Kraken, Flames. Maybe the Flames because they were playing well too. But that's not a big market either. You saw them in the playoffs last year. Colorado came through and steamrolled them. Doesn't get brighter than the playoffs. So there's still a reason not to trust this team based on recent history with Toronto. Toronto's playing Finn fantastic hockey for the most part this season, especially defensively. So I trust that. They have the best goal scorer of this generation, Austin Matthews, and the offense most nights will be fine. I like the Leafs here. I think this is a good one. So give me that Toronto money line, minus 104, minus 105 on DraftKings for me. I'm rolling with it. I like the under here. I think it's going to be a tight, low-scoring game, just based on what both teams are doing this year, especially defensively and in net. I think the Maple Leafs come out on top, though.
Love it. Well, quickly to go through the odds: minus 104 Toronto, minus 115 Winnipeg, plus 1.5, minus 265 for the Leafs, minus 1.5 for the Jets, plus 215, over 6.5 at plus 108. Under is minus 132. Lots of great stuff you just said, bro. You're pumping up my boys, and it's getting me fired up. I have a hard time going with Toronto on this one, just because these two teams are literally playing like polar opposite right now. Like Toronto, you're right. Start of the season 6-2 or 4-2. Excellent first 6 games of the season. Since then, back to back after Tampa Bay, you play Columbus, you get thumped. Okay, fine. Then Craig Bruba's former team comes to Toronto Thursday night. You stink the joint out again. And then that game against Boston, Austin Matthews tied it late. They go to overtime, they get the point, but they didn't really deserve to win that game. So I just it's hard for me to get there. I will say though, what you said I really do resonate with, where Winnipeg, they've got to lose here at some point. Monday night, big stage. They're at home. One really big thing for me tonight, and I know Toronto especially loves to get fixated on the goaltending situation. We talk about goaltenders and sixth defense and like third defensive pairs. Like it's like nobody else in the National Hockey League. But the one thing I will say is who starts in net tonight for Toronto really does matter. Anthony Stolarz has played so well. Even that game against Boston Saturday night, it could have been that game could have been much more lopsided than it was. He's just had a phenomenal start to the season. He's played very, very well. And if Stolarz is in net tonight, I do think Toronto wins this game, and I love the minus 104. And I would even flirt with a puck line on the minus side. I would. I just think Stolarz in the net right now. The team plays differently when he's in net, and it didn't really show on Saturday, but it showed for the season. Now, Joseph Woll would be in net tonight if Stolarz is not. Woll is back from his injury. He did not look sharp against St. Louis, and the team did not look sharp in front of him. I don't trust him right now. He's a good goalie. He'll be fine, but he missed spring training. He missed training camp for the most part, played a little bit, hasn't been practicing all that much since the season started. If Anthony Stolarz is not in net, then I'm going to have a harder time taking the Leafs here tonight. But if he is, which he should be, then I would take Toronto minus 104. I got to go with the classics here as far as the goal scoring. Austin Matthews been scoring somewhat regularly. He's plus 100. Still waiting for that Austin Matthews takeover game. He's plus 100 to score tonight. Kyle Connor is scoring every night. He's plus 140. Mark Scheifele has been producing at a high level this year. He's plus 170. The one that I'm really looking at tonight, as far as the Toronto Maple Leafs go, is William Nylander. He's plus 195, which is pretty long odds for him. He's usually in the mid hundreds. Him and the rest of his line, Bobby McMahon, Max Domi, William Nylander on that second line, they have not had a point in 3 consecutive games, which they have lost all 3 games. William Nylander's he's under the microscope right now over the last 3 games. I expect him to have a big bounce back game tonight, and I expect him to have legs under him to get going often. He is plus 195. I kind of made this up on the fly a little bit this morning while I was looking for him to get a goal, for the Leafs to win, and for William Nylander to have 4+ shots. That is plus 526 on FanDuel. And there's also in Ontario anyway, a 50% profit boost for Toronto Maple Leaf same game parlay tonight. So you take advantage of that. But that's what I'm looking at. William Nylander to have a big night tonight. Oh, one more thing. Sorry, I know I'm going on a Toronto Maple Leaf rant here, but I got one more thing. I mentioned this to you before. One prop that is not on FanDuel right now simply because Toronto has not announced a goalie, but one prop that has worked wonders in parlays, Anthony Stolar's 24+ saves. The Leafs are giving up a lot of shots right now, and he's saving a lot of shots right now. It's usually around minus 174, mid 100s on the minus side of things. So adding it to a parlay is the move, but that's been hitting pretty much every time he's between the pipes. So keep an eye out for that if and when he does play. All right, moving on to a really fascinating storyline. Of course, much was made of this I feel like you got something to say. You're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. This is a weird thing to say, but the shape of your face told me that you were ready to say something. I don't know. Anyway, Nashville plus 112 on the road in Tampa Bay for the return of Steven Stamkos. Tampa Bay minus 134. You know they're going to do something for him. Probably in the middle of a game. But maybe they'll do something beforehand, or maybe they'll unveil a statue that looks nothing like him, as seems to be the theme of the weekend. Tampa Bay minus 134, Nashville plus 112, minus 1.5 for the Lightning, plus 188, plus 1.5 for Nashville, minus 230. The over 6.5 at plus 100, and the under is minus 122. All right, I've been talking forever. Andre, what do you got? Nashville, Tampa Bay, the return of Steven Stamkos.
I have a surprising option. C. Tampa just decides to be unnecessarily salty and not acknowledge Stamkos at all.
Wow.
That's never going to happen. No, he deserves a ton of love, and he's going to get a ton of love. Captain there for a long time, did a ton for that franchise.
Yep.
And you know he's going to go back to that building and score, right? You know he's going
to. He has to.
Yeah. You think they accidentally pressed the goal horn when you know?
What's that, sorry?
So you think he finds the back of the net, they accidentally hit the goal horn just reflexively?
I hope so.
Lightning scored. That would be pretty dope. Not the Lightning, the Predators. See? I'm even dope.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That would be hilarious. I'm rooting for it.
Yeah, that would be pretty good, but his new team is not going to be the one that wins tonight. I know they're not off. They started, 3-0? They look impressive. 5-3 now, so not exactly tearing it up like they once were, but they're consistently scoring, 3-4 plus goals every single night. They had that skid, that 4-game stretch where they gave up 19 goals, but otherwise defensively in net they've been fine. Vasilevsky's still that guy. I like them here against this Predators team who isn't really playing well still. They have they've won 3 in a row, but OT win against the Jackets, 1-goal win against the Blackhawks. It's not really changing perception. We talked about that earlier. They only have one impressive game on their resume. Right? It was a 4-0 win over the Bruins, and I think the Lightning are better than the Bruins, so that doesn't really move me either. I like the Lightning here. I'm going to take them Money line, I would take the 60-minute line as well if you want a little bit of extra juice. I feel pretty confident that they're going to win this game. I feel confident they can do it without being in overtime. The Predators aren't really – they're just not getting points. And it's a combination of everything that they're not doing as a team. And I don't see that changing because I like what Tampa's done for the most part this season.
Yeah, first I have a weird question. Am I moving on the screen? Am I frozen on your side, or do you see me?
Yeah, this time you're frozen.
I am frozen. All right. So I'm going to say what I got to say, tee up the next game, and then I got to fix this really quickly. So you're just going to have to look at my wonderful portrait, apparently, on the screen right now. The Nashville Predators plus 112. I think this team has been playing so subpar. I think they're coming back to Nashville. Everybody knows, not just in Nashville, everybody in this league knows how special this is for Stamkos to come back to Tampa Bay. He had plenty of opportunities to leave Tampa Bay, both on the open market or request a trade, and he never did. He loved Tampa Bay. He didn't want to leave Tampa Bay. He wanted to stay. And I think that Nashville gets up and has the game of their season tonight. And I think they win this game plus 112. I take Nashville on the money line. The one thing they cannot do, which they did against Chicago and they did against Columbus, they cannot go down 2-0. They cannot. They have to. Even if they go down 1-0, whatever, they have to play from ahead. They can't play from behind in this game, or it's pretty much over. So I'm taking Nashville plus 112. And since I am not moving, I'm going to move this along and then fix this issue. Chicago, look at the respect that Chicago's getting right now. Plus 188. Don't you love it? They're in the 100s now. Sure, it's plus 188. But no longer are they in the plus 200s, plus 300s. Getting the respect of the books, plus 188 Chicago. Colorado minus 230. Plus 1.5 for Chicago is minus 134. Minus 1.5 for Colorado is plus 112. The over 6.5 at minus 110. The under is the same. Andre, take it away. What do you got? Chicago, Colorado. You're muted, bro.
We're just killing it.
Oh,
the technical issues today. We're on fire. Happy Monday.
Yeah.
As much as I like what Chicago's building for the future, they're stumbling right now. It happens, growing pains. They've lost 4 in a row, 3 of them by multiple goals. They allowed 17 goals in that span. They only scored 9 in that same stretch, a little over 2 per game. The Vancouver game is the only time they scored more than 2 goals, actually. So that, and they scored 3. Nothing crazy. Whereas the Avs, they're 6th in scoring. They've had their struggles this year as well. The offense is still there. They're still going to light the lamp. And the way the Blackhawks are allowing goals right now, 4.25. During this 4-game losing streak, they're probably going to fall behind early. It's probably going to snowball. That's what Colorado does. And they don't have the offense to keep up. It's really that simple. They're 29th in scoring. And when you're 29th in scoring, you can't allow teams to consistently score 4, 5, 6 goals. That's what they're doing right now. Denver's already tough enough to play. Colorado's already won 7 of the last 9 meetings. All of those were by multiple goals. Talking about the wins, the 2 losses were in Chicago, and both by 1 goal. The Blackhawks don't really have a solution for Colorado as constructed. They can't really get stops when you look at those recent matchups. Consistently getting 4, 5, 6 goals from the Avs. Consistently having Chicago not only not score, they got shut out in 4 of the last 5 meetings. So it's a tough one. You're talking about Chicago. I like the Avs puck line here. Minus 1.5. DK has it at plus 105 right now. It's already dropping because I had it at plus 112 earlier when I actually took it. It's probably the best bet from this one. The total's kind of tricky because you don't know if Chicago's going to score or if they're going to score more than 2. If they only score 2, it gets kind of dicey. 4-2 doesn't get there. 5-2 does. If you're looking at a Colorado win, that their offense is tricky. The Avs could also just score 7-0 by themselves and just carry this total. So I don't really like or trust the total that much, but I do really love that puck line at plus money still. So get that before it switches all the way. Looking at props, looking at goal scorers, looking at shots, Cale Makar, one of the best in the world. He has 13 assists already on the season. Pulling it up on DK now, he is plus 180 to have over 1.5 assists tonight. Seems like a pretty good deal. He's done it twice recently. He did it against Seattle. He did it against San Jose a couple games ago. He did it 3 times in their first 4 games. He's pretty consistently not only getting assists, but he's getting multiple assists, getting multiple points. I think that's one of the better props you could have for this game. So I would take that. Cale Makar over 1.5 assists. Mark is not loading. Give me a second. I'm going to try to switch the tabs here. I have to log in. But the next game, looking ahead, is probably going to be San Jose and Utah. And Utah is, I don't know. Utah's not playing well. San Jose is obviously 0-7-2. So that's not going to go well either. This is a really tricky game looking at it. But I would say kind of going against myself here. I don't know if people remember, I was pretty adamant that the Sharks weren't going to lose their first 10 this year. That's what they did last year. They got off to the horrific start. I was like, there's no way that it happens again. It's looking like it's going to happen again. It's kind of tough to just see what they're doing and say, yeah, I trust the San Jose Sharks. They look awful yet again. So at home, the hockey club has looked better at home this year. Salt Lake City, generally speaking, has been a good home field advantage, not just for the hockey club in their early iteration, but also for, the basketball team. It's just they don't have pro sports teams. They go hard for them. So I like that puck line for them as well. It's not going to be the best value, obviously, because it's the Sharks, but it should be a pretty comfortable one. As far as the total, as much as I just talked about not trusting the Blackhawks offensively, you definitely don't trust the Sharks offensively. So I'm going to lean with the over in that one. Or not the over, the under, excuse me, because San Jose doesn't really score. Mark, welcome back.
Thank you, bro. I not sure what's going on with my camera, but it is what it is. What can you do? What can you do, man? It is what it is.
I don't know.
You can do nothing. You're on to San Jose and Utah?
Yeah, I did move on. If you want to talk about Colorado and Chicago, you can. I figured it wasn't that much to talk about.
Yeah, just Colorado minus 1.5. It is what it is. Yeah, I got nothing too much more to add to that. I just think Chicago's not really scoring right now. Colorado's scoring a ton. So, but Georgie probably in net tonight. Not a great start to the season for him. So we'll be interested to see how he bounces back against a team like Chicago. As far as San Jose, Utah goes, did I hear you correctly? You're taking the San Jose puck line?
No.
Oh.
I went against myself. I kept saying the Sharks aren't going to lose 10 in a row to start their year this year. And here we are. They're 0-7-2. And I just can't take them. As much as I want to, I just can't take them. So
but you know what? If they lose tonight, they're 0-8-2. So not technically 0-10. They have 2 points at least. They can hang their hat on that.
Never thought you would advocate for the loser's point. Never thought I'd hate it.
Yeah, I hate it. The thing with San Jose, or the thing with Utah more specifically, that I have harped on already and will continue to harp on for the rest of the season is Sean Dursey and John Marino being out for the year is huge. Now, San Jose, maybe not a big deal against them, but they still have people who can score. Tyler Toffoli, Granlund's had a pretty good start to the year. So I am concerned about that defense. That defense for Utah, that is concerning. But I'm with you though. -1.5 plus 100. Just something to keep an eye out for Utah as the season progresses. All right. 2 games left. We'll battle through without a camera. That's okay. We're here and we're doing it. Carolina in Vancouver, -120. -120. The Hurricanes. Those odds have actually shifted and not in the direction that you would think. Carolina is -132. Vancouver is +110 on home ice. Vancouver, pretty big underdogs, considering. -1.5 for Carolina's +190, +1.5 for Vancouver, -235. The over is 5.5 at -132, and the under is +108. Andre, what do you got here, man? Carolina, Vancouver. You buying this Carolina big favorites? I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of making me want to bet on Vancouver now too, honestly. I was all in for Carolina before. I mean, they're playing pretty well. But the Canucks, they have a 4-game winning streak of their own. 3 of those were on the road.
Yep.
And it started with a win over the Panthers, who were playing pretty well themselves. So the Canucks, they're not slouches right now. It's kind of weird that it shifted this much. Vegas obviously knows something we don't, and that tends to always be the case.
Yes.
At all times. But you know what? I'll take the bait. +114. You got a team at home. You got a team on a 4-game winning streak, taking on a Carolina club. They've been on the road. This will be their 6th straight road game. They've been in the Pacific Northwest since October 22nd, last Tuesday. Before that, they were in Pittsburgh and St. Louis. They are very far from Raleigh, North Carolina. And, you know, these trips wear on you. So I'm going to trust it. I'm going to take it. Canucks +114 here.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I'm not really impressed overly by either of these teams. I'm pretty down on Carolina as a whole this year, but Vancouver on home ice +100. We had a rule last year that, you know, I don't know how often it's going to be presented to us this year, but we had a rule last year where if Vancouver was plus money, you took it. And I'm jumping right back on that this year, at least for tonight. +110 Vancouver on home ice. I love it. Pettersson finally got his first goal of the year the other night. We'll see if that starts something. He's been a ghost. Like the record that Vancouver has to start the year of 4-1-2 has been pretty much all without Pettersson. He's had a very not even mediocre start. He has not had a good start. That's now 2 regular season goals since the middle of last year when he signed his extension. I gotta hope that does something. +240 for him to score tonight. +240 for Pettersson to score. That's insane. And based on the way the season has gone, that's accurate. So I'm going to hope this kind of sparks something here. +240, Pettersson to score. Maybe Saturday night, that goal kind of helps him get back on track. So I'm going to take that, and I'm taking Vancouver at +110. All right. Last game of the night, as you hear the Paw Patrol theme in the background. I don't know if you heard that, but that's what that was. That song gets me fired up. Calgary +162 on the road in Vegas. Vegas -196 at home. -1.5 for Vegas is +152. +1.5 for Calgary, -184. The over is 6.5 at -104. The under is -118, and the odds have shifted here pretty dramatically. Calgary is now +136, while Vegas is -164. So either something happened, or everybody is seeing what I'm seeing at the same time, and not odds the way they should have been. Andre, what do you got here? Calgary, Vegas, in Vegas.
I love that odd shift because, when they zig, I zag. I like Vegas in this game. I was going to take them on the puck line anyway. That just makes the odds better because they're not as heavily favored. The Flames, let's talk about them. They lost 2 in a row, 3-5 against Winnipeg, 4-2 against Carolina, both at home. Now they're hitting the road. They're taking on a Vegas team who, undefeated at home this year, 6-0-0. Of those 6 games, 5 of them by multiple goals. They scored at least 3 in every single one of those games. They scored 3 against Anaheim, 4 against St. Louis, 6 against Ottawa, 6 against LA, 7 against the Sharks, 8 against the Avs. They're just lighting the lamp like nobody's business in their home building, and their goaltending, their defense is good enough where you're talking about 4 goals, 5 goals. That's going to be enough for a puck line win most nights for them. They've allowed 4 goals a few times this year, but for otherwise it's 3 or fewer. So with the way Calgary's not defending right now, with these 2 losses, with the way that Vegas is playing at home, the way that Vegas is scoring at home, I'm taking that puck line, I'm taking that over, and I'm cashing.
So on the same page for most of the games tonight, which seems to be the case between you and I over the last couple years. Finishing off on the opposite sides here, though, I am taking Calgary at +136, and I don't love it. I agree with you. I think at first glance, I think that Vegas is the best play here. Seeing some new people join us on the stream, my camera stopped working halfway through, so that's what this is. But Calgary. So from what I've watched of Calgary, which I've actually watched almost every game that they've played, and they haven't really been dominated or blown out at all, regardless of the score. They're losing based on self-inflicted wounds. And defensively, yes, I'm looking at Nazem Kadri, man. There's like 3 games here where he's either taking a really bad penalty towards the end of a game or just a blatant giveaway towards the end of the game. Just last minute blunders that's costing his team wins. And the goaltending's been really good. Vladar had a tremendous game the other night. Just did not get what he deserved. Dustin Wolf has played really well to start the year. I like the way Calgary is playing. Just against a team like Vegas, they have to clean up these unnecessary mistakes. They have to. I like Calgary here, +136 on the road. Like I said, I do think at first glance your assessment is the right one. But watching this Calgary team play, man, they're beating themselves more than they're being beaten. And I think that they're going to bounce back and get a win tonight. And furthermore, the aforementioned Nazem Kadri, you have cost your team 3 wins, in my opinion. And I know that Nazem takes my opinions very seriously. He's +200 to score tonight. You lead your team in goals. You only have 2. Get a goal tonight. All is good in a winning effort. +200 Nazem Kadri to score tonight. And even his shooting odds aren't terrific, but 4+ shots is +100. I expect Nazem to go off, have a night, get the win, score a goal, and I will count my money at around 1:30 in the morning. All right, moving on. Let's wrap up the show. Best bets. Brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Right now with our promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off whatever cards you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. That's promo code Sports Addict, number 1, STRoundCollectibles.com, FirstRoundCollectibles.com. First Round Collectibles, sports cards for sports fans. Andre, what is your best bet on this Monday night in the NHL?
We're going to Denver. The Avs starting to look good.
Yep.
They're scoring the way they should be. The defense is tightened up a little bit. They have a good matchup tonight against the Chicago team. It's not stopping pucks right now, and the offense is kind of capping at 2 goals per game. 4 should get it done. 4 should be easy for the Avs every night, but especially at home against the Blackhawks where they're playing right now. I'm taking that puck line. It just jumped up a little bit to plus 110. I love it. I think they're going to win by multiple goals tonight. So back on the Avs train.
Absolutely love it. I think I'm going to Vancouver. Lots of good games tonight. Not a lot of super locky bets as far as the sides go. Vancouver at home, plus 110. I really like it. I don't I don't trust this Carolina team. I don't necessarily trust this Vancouver team either, but if we're not dealing with puck total, with like puck lines, nothing like that, just get the W. That young goaltender, Lehkonen, his name is escaping me. I think it's Lehkonen, but that young goaltender for Vancouver has been phenomenal so far this year without Demko. And I really like him. I think he's done a really good job out there. I'll take Vancouver, man, plus 110.
Yeah. To back up your point, Kevin Lankinen has overtaken Shelovs as the starter pretty much. 930 save percentage, 195 goals against average. Has a shutout. So, yeah, playing pretty well. And basically all they needed was a competent goalie to keep winning, keep pushing, and they got one. So
100%. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you for bailing me out on the name. I'm having a tough time with names this year. I don't know what's going on over here, but all right, bro. To wrap it up, family play. What do we like to make this a 3-leg parlay? To go over some of the things that we talked about. We both like the over in Edmonton and Columbus. We both liked the plus 1.5, I believe, for Columbus as well. Trying to think. We both like the Leafs. We both like Utah minus 1.5. What are you feeling here? Family play.
I was feeling the over in Edmonton Jackets, honestly.
Okay.
That was like the first thing that jumped to me. I feel like we were both strong on that.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't go wrong against the Sharks either. So,
it's weird. I know it's just the Sharks, but that defense in Utah makes me nervous, man. Let's roll with Edmonton, Columbus over 6.5 at minus 128 on FanDuel. Those 3 legs. Vancouver money line, Colorado minus 1.5, over 6.5 in Edmonton, Columbus. On FanDuel, it is plus 693. What do you got?
Ooh, got you beat today. It's plus 717 on DraftKings.
There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate you. Also, appreciate your grace on my technology. Fairly dysfunctional here this morning, but nevertheless, appreciate you guys watching. Good luck on your bets. Shout out First Round Collectibles, promo code Sports Addict for 10% off your order. And as always, shout out to Total Apex Sports. You can check out my article about the Leafs and their performance over the weekend and their game tonight on totalapexsports.com, plus coverage on every single sport that you know and love. Have a great night. Good luck on your bets. See you tomorrow.